Hey guys, Hector Castillo, Poppy from girlschase.com. Hope you're enjoying your day. I'm going to talk to you today about texting and how to text the bitches that you like. My tips are going to be interesting because I come from a writing background. And so when I wanted to learn how texting worked, I had no trouble getting girls and getting them on dates, but I noticed it's like there's something off about my text messages. It seems like I'm communicating somewhat what I want to communicate, but I'll send an idea over text and it seems like she doesn't quite get what I was saying. And I was like, what's going on? And I was like, wait, I'm studying literature and philosophy and how to be a clear thinker and how to write clearly but also elegantly. And I thought, fuck, this is just writing. Duh, right? Text messages, text writing. So I took like many years and focused really hard just on texting. And I figured out there were so many dates that I lost, so many girls that wanted to come over and fuck me without even a date. If I just knew how to properly convey my ideas over text. Now, I can't tell you how to write in a fucking 15-minute video, but what I can do is give you a few tips that when you're texting a girl that you like, that you can text her in a much more attractive way, because it's not you who is being transmitted over the text message. It's a text on a screen that she takes as from you. So there's not a 3D visual auditorial experience that she's having when you're in person. So there's so much missing. She's missing your tone of voice and your mannerisms and your body language and your facial expressions. So the clear, total emotional and thought substance that you're trying to give to her, because that's what seduction is. It's a communication and it's a dance based on what you say and how you say it and how you look while you say it. But when you have most of that thrown away and all you have is pure thought with emojis, which are an interesting addition to the text message repertoire, and they change a little bit the landscape and they give you some more tools, but generally it's just a 2D text box and she has to feel your emotions via that. And so you need to be very careful and detailed and skillful, like a writer would be, about the text that you're sending her. So when it comes to actually texting girls, in substance, it's very simple. Hey, how are you? Good to see you. How's your day? Blah, 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 blah. Want to hang out sometime? Sure. What time? Let's meet there. Cool. Great. Can't wait to see you. Hey, I'll see you tomorrow. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Like, it's so fucking simple. But because guys are lazy about their texting skill and the art, they're like, okay, well, I sent her this text. I don't know why she didn't understand. It's like, yeah, but what you thought you said wasn't what she read. There's a disconnect between what you think you're saying and what she thinks you're saying. Because that's all there is. There's a subject and there's another subject, and they're both trying to communicate to each other using objects, but sometimes that person is going to interpret the object that you created for them, the text message that you created for them, in a way that's not what you intended, and that's going to create a disconnect. And then what you thought was a genuine, sincere, complimentary comment comes off maybe too eager and too needy, or maybe insulting and you were too crass. There's so much miscommunication that can happen over text messages, and I know because I get fucking screenshots every goddamn day from guys like, oh, you asked her out, I don't know what happened. And I'm like, yeah, because the way you asked her out came off weird and awkward. So I'm gonna give you some technical ideas that I think you can apply to your texting in general, and what it's gonna do is it's gonna make your text look more attractive. I'm not gonna give you the exact form of what to text her because it's too contextual. That's like asking me to predict a conversation. No one can do that. I can give you general guidelines, but no one can fucking predict a conversation. But if I give you good guidelines to follow, then your text will become much, much, much smoother, and you'll communicate what it is you want to communicate. And when you're communicating genuine interest and care, she's going to respond well, and then you guys are going to meet. Okay? So, what are the technical advices that I advise? First of all, don't capitalize the beginning of a sentence. What? Is that way too pedantic? Way too much focus on details? Trust me, it's huge. Because what happens is the only thing you should be capitalizing is your name and her name. when you lowercase things, it's something that E.E. Cummings did very well with poetry, is he wrote everything in lowercase. Because I don't know the exact reason for it, but to me, it's I'm going to show I don't care. When you do it over text and you don't capitalize things and you don't have perfect grammar, what you're showing is I'm putting a little bit of effort into this. I'm not saying you should not give a fuck completely, right? There's levels of emotions that you want to show and levels you don't want to show. But it's just a small detail that I've noticed make a huge difference. I saw when I used capital letters and when I stopped, I was like, it's such a small thing, but it's having such a drastic difference. So try it out. Maybe you don't believe me. Try it out. Turn off auto capitalization on your phone. And the only things that you should be capitalizing are like country names and your actual names. Try it out. Let me know if your conversations don't get a little bit better. Next, break up your texts. You want to chat like people did back when AIM Messenger was out. AOL Instant Messenger. That's what I was using to pick up bitches when I was in high school. And the way that I learned to text on there was like this. Hey, how are you? How's your day? I did this. Da-da-da. Instead of, hey, how are you? I did this. When you see a block like that, you're like, ooh. But when you see a bunch of little text messages, you can even send something that's technically the same word length as that big paragraph, but because it's broken up, it's much more digestible. Here's one text, here's another, here's another, here's another. That's why reading like a book from 10th grade is so much easier than reading, or it's much harder than reading a book from 5th grade. Because 5th grade is just like, dun, 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 dun. You want it to be easy for her to read the conversation. You don't want to make it a chore to have a conversation with you. And this is actually a principle that's used in marketing and in copywriting, is you break up the texting or the text so that it's easier to read, because shorter is better. If you can communicate in 10 words when another person communicates in 100, you're going to be more attractive because you're putting less effort, but you're still getting the same result. And that's an extremely powerful thing to do. And you want to look attractive and powerful over text. Okay, cool. Next, avoid awkward language. If you don't know what a word means, don't use it. Be very accurate with your language, but also avoid language that could be misinterpreted. Maybe instead of saying, it would be cool to see you, which is a little bit too friendly and a little bit too like, yeah, it'd be cool to see you. Like, yeah. Then you say, I would love to see you. Because when you say, I would love to see you, it sounds like, I would love to see you, oh my God. It's just like a nice thing to say to a girl. Like, I'd love to see you. It'd be really cool. Just that small change in the language can go from, oh, he's, yeah, it'd be cool to see you. Cool. That's how I interpret it. Whereas, I'd love to see you. There's emotion there. There's not that awkwardness of us playing a game of who cares less. You're just showing your emotions. But also you need to be careful to not go overboard, because sometimes you can give awkward language that gives too much emotion. I'm trying to think of an example. Okay. Let's say you're a bit of a jokester, and you want to say something like, oh, what's crack-a-lackin'? What's crackin'? Or what's going on? Or something of that sort. That's your phraseology, the way that you express yourself. The problem with that is maybe if they're not used to your personality yet, they can misinterpret it. Now, some of you are going to be like, well, they should accept me for the way I am. Fuck off. If that's your opinion, this is not the channel for you. We're about adapting our behavior in a way that's attractive. I'm not saying for you to hide who you are and not have the sense of humor that you have. But what I am saying is learn how to communicate what normally you do in person over text. So maybe in person you can get away with like, hey, what's up, man, blah, blah, blah. But then over text, you're like, okay, maybe that language can come off to this or to that. So think about how you're coming off in this medium of text messages. So avoid anything that could be misinterpreted as too sexual or too casual and not emotional enough, or too emotional and not casual enough, and learn her how she interprets texts. And once you look, because every girl's going to interpret text differently, but a great guideline to follow is just not to use any awkward language. Anything that's too metaphorical, anything that's too poetic, anything that's too serious, just learn how to be clear with your language. And then also the next tip is be clear with your sentence structure. I spent a long time writing very pretentiously because I was like, oh, I'm a literature major and I want to be fancy with my syntax. And, you know, this was the idea that he held to be such a highfalutin idea, but then it came to his realization that, you know, just some fucking pretentious ass flowery writing, right? Or you can just say he liked the idea and then he didn't. Something like that. You see the difference? You can communicate things plainly over text, and that's how you want to, because this isn't a fucking paper. This isn't a novel or a poem. You're trying to communicate ideas to another person. You can write elegantly, but first over text, the absolute first rule with text messages is go for clarity, because there are so many ways what you can say could be misinterpreted, because women misinterpret things all the time. Right? You're looking good today. Oh, yeah, I don't usually look good. You know, that kind of joke where girls just misinterpret even the smallest things because of whatever mood they're in. So avoid tripping over those trigger points, and instead just be clear with your syntax, which means your sentence structure. See, I would use be clear with your syntax, and someone's like, the fuck does syntax mean? When I could have just said sentence structure. Okay, so be clear with your sentence structure and the way that you structure your sentences. And be clear with your language, so that when you're trying to communicate an idea to her, like, hey, let's grab a coffee this week, you're not like, hey, yeah, so I was thinking it would be so cool if we could get a coffee. Be like, let's get a coffee this week. So much simpler. Do that. Okay. Now, use emojis to replace words. This is great. When I'm confirming something, like someone's like, just makes a comment that the only response you would have to it is like, oh yeah, cool. Just respond with a ... colon and parentheses, or an actual emoji. That's so powerful, because what you're doing is, remember, what's being communicated over text messages? Thoughts and feelings. But what do people really care about more? Feelings. So, hey, you don't want to leave them on red, but you still want to respond. Smiley face. So it's an acknowledgement, but it's pure emotion. And that's very, very attractive to people. And sometimes you'll even see girls, they'll say something that really didn't warrant a response, but I still have to give a response because that's how the conversation's going. And I put a smiley face, and then they throw another smiley face over. Whereas usually if I said okay, it's kind of like, okay. But I give the emoji and they're like, oh, okay. There's acknowledgement, but there's emotion there too. And you want to appeal to the girl's emotions. The thoughts are only there to lead her to, okay, he's asking me how my day is. Okay, cool. But with your emojis, now you can, and the next tip, amplify emotions. You can amplify what they're feeling, because you're conveying thoughts just to continue the conversation. How's my day? He asked me out, blah, blah, blah. And along the way, what you can do is use emojis to amplify the emotions trying to be conveyed with your text messages. Because what we're doing is nothing more than saying, I like you as a concept, and I want to see you as a concept, because texting, you should be trying to see her. Texting is only a means to keep her warm, and then to get her actually on the date where you can put your finger or your dick in her warm pussy, because you want to build rapport or lead her to seeing you. That's the only two uses of texting. Sometimes I can get drawn into long discussions, but that's because I've learned how to do that properly. And it's an art and a skill like any other part of seduction. Going on a date, you gotta learn how to go on dates. Texting, you gotta learn how to text. Having sex, you gotta learn how to have sex. Relationships, they have their own rules. Every part of seduction has their own rules, and some of you guys might be like, oh fuck, I gotta learn something else. Look, if you wanna be average, you're gonna get average results. If you wanna be above average and get above average results, then you need to learn how fucking texting works. And when you're conveying in a clear but concise and emotionally appealing way what it is you want from a girl, then she's going to be so much more happy to be talking to you over text, because most other guys, they are just dog shit at texting. So take the time to get good at this, study it, and follow these tips, and I think what you'll see is that this small change here and the small change here and the small change here is going to have huge effects overall in the way that women are interpreting your text messages, and you're going to seem like a more attractive, higher value man because you're following these principles that I could explain very deeply why they're attractive. But how about you just take it for a spin? You know, don't even trust what I say. Just say, okay, I'm going to try these out, and if they work, then come back to me and let me know if they've benefited you at all and you notice that women are responding much more warmly and much more compliantly to your text message conversations. Now, if you want more help with texting, I would highly suggest that you sign up for private coaching, because texting is one of those bitches that everyone sucks at these days, but I took the time to get good at it, and it's fun to just be like, send her this, and then she just turns into a fucking like little doll for you. And I was like, what the fuck, how'd you do that? It's like, because I know what to send and when to say it, and I can teach you that skill if you sign up for coaching, and I can give you a free 10-minute consultation. Obviously, I'll help you out with more things than just texting, but sign up for this consultation. It's in the description below, and we can talk on the phone and see if coaching is right for you, and I'll help you with getting dates, texting her right, texting her to get on dates, texting her to get nudes, texting her to get sex, how to fuck her, how to have a relationship, everything. I got you. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Hector Castillo, girlchase.com. Follow me on social media, and I'll see you soon.